NFIU be separated from EFCC. That is just done now, and NFIU will then be properly set up. I'm sure it will have a separate leadership, it will have a separate structure, and going forward we'll see its impact.
What do you mean by going forward? Because where does that put the EFCC going forward?
No, the EFCC remains where it is, and it does what it will do. It will just collaborate with NFIU instead of NFIU being responsible to it as it was before.
Okay, I understand that Ajuri has a question for you from our Abuja studios. Ajuri, go ahead.
Yes, so I really just kind of want to, if we're talking about anti-corruption right now, you know, one of the kind of gaps that has existed between what Nigerians expect and what they're getting is as a result of kind of promises that have been made. Severally, we have people like the AGF coming out and saying we're going to name and shame, we're going to prosecute this person, prosecute that person. On the pages of newspapers, it'll say EFCC has opened the files of this former governor or that former governor, whatever the case may be. We don't see any resolution of most of these cases. We don't see any names. The Name and Shame Act, it hasn't really come up. So when expectations are built up, there's ground for a lot of creation of for the creation of a lot of disappointment. And I want to ask you: do you believe that the Buhari administration's anti-corruption war has been fought with utmost efficiency and effectiveness in light of some of these things I've mentioned?
Thank you. The first thing I would like to clarify is that name and shame is not a motive of this government. Not at all. If you listen to the president broadcast, either in May or October 2016, he said that the motive of the anti-corruption war is not to disgrace anybody. Rather, it is to retrieve ill-stolen wealth and make sure that the country does not continue to be plundered. So, name and shame is not part of it. And then, publishing the names of those monies have been retrieved from is a court pronouncement. It's not government that promised. It's a court pronouncement. A court has directed that it be done. And the Attorney General, who is the chief law officer of the country, has responded to that it will be done, that it's in the works, that it will be done. How far they've gone on that, the Attorney General can tell us. But the intention of the anti-corruption war is not name and shame. It's to retrieve ill-stolen wealth and ensure that the country does not continue to be plundered. Then, to your question specifically, how far do I think the anti-corruption war has gone? I think it's proceeding apace. Like somebody said, I think Information Minister Alhaji Lai Mohammed, he said before, corruption was on the table in Nigeria. Now, it's been driven under the table. Driving it under the table does not mean you have eliminated it. But then, now that it's under the table, the administration is even going under the table to still fight corruption there. So, it's something that is in process.
Would you say that the war against corruption has been one-sided, as being reported in many instances, saying that this government has not been able to really prosecute those in your party who are alleged to have corruptly amassed money from this country?
I'm glad you used the word alleged. Allegation is not prima facie case. Before you prosecute anybody, a prima facie case is first established. And if it's established, irrespective of who is involved, irrespective of the party, trust President Buhari, that person will face judgment.
Because you're going into 2019
yes,
with these perceptions, or should I say the allegations, as you pointed out also. Don't you think that this takes away from the APC and equips the PDP, who is the biggest opposition to you right now? Because if that perception should sink into the minds of the people, you may lose these elections in 2019.
No. That I won't quite agree with. Now, if PDP claims that many more of its people are being arrested, are being tried, yes, they were the ones who got exposed to the treasury for 16 years. And they vandalized that treasury. you must answer for it. So it stands to reason if there are more PDP people being prosecuted, because they were the ones exposed to the treasury. Non-PDP people didn't have that access. So in tune with accountability and transparency, if you were the one who had access to the treasury, you must come and account for what you did. And then, let me just add something. You know that there are even some former military leaders and all that who have been tried. Are they PDP members? No, they're not.
You talked about the prima facie cases, that you said if they were prima facie cases, it's a done deal.
Yes.
But we have cases like the case of the NIA DG, the former NIA DG, who's with the Ikoyi Gate, that money. We have other cases, for instance, looking at the case of, what's his name again?
The former SGF.
The former SGF. You still have the case of the AGF even himself in cases like this. So what basis would you predicate your submissions?
I'm sure you saw the report of the panel set up to investigate the activities of the NIA when it was submitted last week. It was a Baba Gana Kingibe-led panel. And when the president received that panel, he gave an assurance that everybody involved in that saga will face the music, will face the law. That's what he said. So we wait and see what plays out.
Mr. Adesina, are you happy with the state of things?
Well, Nigeria has plenty problems. Plenty problems, I must tell you. And the problems keep escalating.
But you took leadership, you took the responsibility to come in and take care of the problem. So are you happy with the state of things? That was why
there was the need for change. That was why there was the need for change.
Are you happy with the state of change? There's no time.
No, I'm building up to the answer because it's not a straitjacket answer. There was the need for change, and this administration has come, and it is working towards that change. Change is not instant coffee. It is not, but it's working towards it. Nigerians will be a lot happier.
Mr. Adesina, how long would the people wait? I'll give you an example, a very quick one. Within this period, different agencies of government have been returning or bringing in a lot of money. I mean, for instance, JAM brought in over 7 billion, which never used to be. Nimasa brought in billions, and other things. And other customs brought in 1 trillion plus.
Yes.
That's, if you put it all together, all the agencies that have brought in money, over 7 trillion, and our budget is over 7 trillion, but yet we are still borrowing money. Are we happy with the state of change?
You know that the money we are borrowing are for capital projects.
So this money that they've raised, what's it for?
These ones they have raised, you know, they can't be spent until they are appropriated. They can't be spent until they are appropriated. Those will go into budget in subsequent years.
Special Advisor to Mr. President to Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina. Thank you so much indeed for making our time on Christmas Day to be with us here on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
And we do hope that you have a splendid Christmas as well, and our extension, of course, to Mr. President and his team.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sunrise Daily will be back after these messages. Join us again.